Welcome to the Sober Edge podcast, inspiration for alcohol-free living. I'm your host, Terry Patterson, functional nutritionist and This Naked Mind senior coach. The Sober Edge is a place to explore the infinite possibilities on the other side of drinking. In a culture soaked in booze, discover the wonder and joy of taking a different path. Meet real people living lives of purpose and passion, learn the truth behind the alcohol myths, and get ready to be motivated, inspired, and astounded by what is possible with the Sober Edge. Well, welcome to today's podcast episode, and we are going to be talking about the Sober Summit. So today I interview Maggie Klassens, who has brought together over 20 individuals who are going to share their expertise in this alcohol-free world, particularly when it comes to navigating the holidays. So just in time for the holidays this November and December, Maggie has put together the Sober Summit Holiday Edition. This is a place where you can join as a participant and get access to over 20 pre-recorded interviews with experts like Victoria English and Amy Edwards and Andy Ramage, and all kinds of individuals that you're going to recognize, William Porter, some you haven't met yet. But these experts are going to rock your world as they share not only their expertise, but their expertise around the holidays. Everything from pairing non-alcoholic drinks with your favorite holiday meal to understanding the emotional connection between drinking and the holidays. This is a summit and an opportunity that you don't want to miss. So I am delighted to interview Maggie and have this conversation about the Sober Summit Holiday Edition. And I really want to encourage you to take advantage, grab your free seat. Tune in November 8th through the 10th. All the links are in the show notes. And I cannot wait for you to experience these experts and learn from the best of the best how to have your best holiday ever with no drinking. Enjoy. Well, hey, everyone, it's Terry back with another edition of the Sober Edge podcast. And I am excited today. I have a new friend and an amazing resource for all of you. So I am delighted to introduce you to Maggie Klassens from the Sober Summit. So welcome to the podcast, Maggie.
Oh my gosh, Terry, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I had heard about the Sober Summit and I looked at all the speakers that you had and I was just blown away, Maggie, by the quality of individuals that you brought together to start this conversation around what you call middle lane drinking. So let's start there. What is middle lane drinking and what is a summit?
Yeah, great question. Well, first of all, I did not coin middle lane drinking. That's, a new term that's been floating around the sober community for the last couple of years as people, myself included, realize that, alcohol is just not doing us any favors anymore. So, we don't identify as someone who has an alcohol problem, nor do we feel like we can moderate, right? So or we binge drink sometimes, or whatever that might be. There's a great definition from Andy Ramage, whose definition of middle lane drinking is someone who can drink sometimes too much, sometimes not at all, sometimes a binge drinker, right? It can. There's a broad spectrum of where people can fall on here. And that's where it's middle lane drinking comes from. And definitely a place where I fell into. And so, I identified as someone who didn't have a problem, but I found my nightly wine habit to be just not doing me any favors anymore. Waking up in the middle of the night, not being able to sleep, being impatient with my kids, not having energy anymore, just feeling like I was on this hamster wheel every day. I call it Groundhog's Day. I mean, it was like every day just seemed to be the same over and over. And I thought, gosh, life doesn't seem so much fun. This is hard. I've got 3 kids, a full-time job, and I just felt like I wasn't living. And so I did a 100-day challenge, and I removed alcohol for 100 days with the full intention of going back. I just wanted to kind of do this challenge and prove to myself that I could do it. And then on day 101, I thought, this is so good. And there's no way I want to go back. And when you kind of hit that aha moment of, wow, life is good. I sleep better. I eat better. I now have energy to do the things I want to do. I get down on the floor and play with my kids, and I, excited when they come home. I just don't feel drained. And, I just, all the things and small things, like you're looking around going, gosh, look at that sunset. Look at that, look at this beautiful day. It's in technicolor now. All of a sudden, it's like it's in 3D. Whereas before you kind of had this tunnel vision where you just felt like life was gray. Now it's in technicolor. And so I think a lot of us who go through this at some point think, this is so good. I've got to turn around and give back. And I've got to let people know how good this is, because now I feel like I've got this superpower and I want to share it with other people. So at the time of doing my 100-day challenge, I was out of work because of COVID. So I worked in the hospitality industry. And of course, when COVID hit, our lives got flipped upside down within 12 hours. I mean, the whole hospitality industry just shut down overnight. I found myself at home with my 3 kids for 18 months. And, I found myself going, how am I going to get through this? And I was ordering cases of wine to be delivered because I could do that now, because alcohol was an essential item during COVID. So it's funny, I meet people who went 2 ways. They either stopped drinking because of COVID, or they ramped up their drinking because of COVID. And I was one that was like, this is a pandemic, life's ending, so let's drink our way through it. How am I going to get through my day without having, my glass of wine to look forward to at the end of the night? So when I went through that 100 days and found all the benefits of not drinking, I wanted to do something good with it, and I wanted to share it. So I had been attending a lot of health and wellness summits for quite a few years. There's a lot of them out there, and it's a great way to kind of get a load of information in a few days, learn about new people in the industries, learn about new tips and tricks to benefit your life and become a better version of yourself. And so I had this idea of doing an alcohol-free summit, and the sober summit just rolled off the tongue. But when I pitched the idea, I never wanted to be the face of it. When I pitched the idea to some podcasters, they were like, I don't know what a summit is. I don't think this is going to do anything. I don't really quite understand it. But if you do it, we'll be a part of it. We're happy to support you and join in. And so I thought, oh, I can't do this. I'm, a mom of 3. I hadn't even at that point told my Facebook friends or Instagram friends. I hadn't announced I was alcohol free yet. So it was really, kind of going, I don't know that I can do this. But it's funny, in sobriety, regardless of where you are in the spectrum, when you remove alcohol, your life just gets exponentially better, in the sense that all these new windows and doors open up that you never thought possible before. This was something you would dream about, or maybe think, gosh, wouldn't it be nice if I could do this? In sobriety, you all of a sudden have this confidence and this clarity in your mind going, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could, do something like this. It's way outside my comfort zone. But what if I did it? I've heard people write books who've never written before, people who run marathons who've never ran before. I mean, this was kind of like my Mount Everest of like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't have an audience. But what if I could pull together some of the best podcasters, authors, experts, and influencers in the sober space? And this could be my way of giving back to the community in a way that might help somebody in their journey. So I decided to do it. And it was definitely one of those things where it was one step in front of the other till it got to the point where, oh, I really have to do this now, because the date's out there and the speakers are booked, and now I have to do it. So Yeah, I mean, we had an incredible lineup for the April summit. We had Annie Grace, William Porter, Andy Ramage. I mean, we just had some incredible content. It was broken down into 3 different days. So we had the first day being the effects of alcohol. So, really, the science behind it, what it does to your body and your mind. And then on day 2, we talked about tips on how to actually remove alcohol. So now that you know the science behind it, how do you actually remove it? And then day 3, we talked about normalizing sobriety and how to fit into society. So, like, what do your relationships look like, for example? So it was really, really beneficial for, someone who either is just starting out, or even if you've been sober for a while. I think getting that kind of dose of motivation and maybe hearing something that's new or hearing an inspiring story from one of the speakers can help you in your journey. So it wasn't just my mom and my husband who attended. There were thousands of people from around the world, which was really incredible. I got some incredible feedback, people emailing me, telling me what a great timing it was, that they really needed this. And so I felt like, okay, this could be my thing, and let's do it again. So now I'm off to do it again for the holidays. So
Wow. Yeah, I love that. And I think I shared with you, but I'm not sure my audience knows that I was a functional nutritionist, working full time and doing a little nutrition work on the side. And I was listening to an addiction summit, and that's where I met Annie Grace.
oh.
And when I heard Annie Grace speak, I stopped what I was doing and I sat down and I thought, what is she talking about? What is this going on around this, sober space, and what I would have needed to have become alcohol free, with less making it up as I went. I mean, it's going to be 8 years for me in a couple of weeks. And when I heard Annie on that summit, I thought that's what I would have needed. And so I just am such a huge believer in summits. I've been on a couple myself, smaller ones. And what I have to say is that they are an incredible resource for the community, but they're a lot of work. So I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate someone like Maggie saying, I will step forward and do this. And you have it set up so well. So I love that your April summit focused on, the science behind it, and then the tactical part, and then the actual getting out in the world. Now you're doing this holiday sober summit. Will the focus be the same? Or my favorite part of this journey is what's next? Now what?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. So unlike in April, and I wanted to make it different so that people in April could come and get, brand new stuff. But unlike April, that was broken down into 3 different themes, a theme for each day. This entire theme is the holidays. So it's how to live your best holiday season yet alcohol free. So I have a mix. Every day is a little bit of everything so that you could join any day and kind of get a mix of content. So we've got some really fun topics like how to pair your menu with non-alcoholic beverages with Derek Brown. He's fantastic. So he shares his favorite non-alcoholic beverages and what to pair it with for each of the different meals. We've got Bex Weller who's coming in talking about how to socialize alcohol free. Chris Marshall from Sands Bar, he's coming in talking about the loneliness epidemic and how to get through the holidays when you're dealing with something like loneliness. So we have some serious topics like that, and we have some, fun topics. Also talking about traditions, how to embrace non-alcoholic traditions. A lot of what the holidays brings is, as much as we think, oh, the holidays great, there's some stress that happens with families. How do we deal with that? How do we deal with our triggers? So Victoria English is coming on talking about how to take our triggers and reframe them as glimmers, which I love around the holidays. So yeah, there's a lot of really amazing content for this time around. We even have Peggy Cooney coming on talking about removing alcohol at different stages of your life. So again, there's a little bit of everything for everybody each day. So I wanted to mix it up a little bit, but Similarly to last time, we have a virtual goodie bag, but it's reframed this time to a virtual stocking stuffer. So little gifts for attendees with discounts from some of our favorite non-alcoholic brands. So, and we'll be playing holiday bingo and winning prizes. We've got some incredible gifts. It's a lot of fun. So as much as the content can be serious in nature, sometimes, you pick and choose what content resonates with you, and what speakers you resonate with, right? And that there's a broader spectrum. So we do have speakers that, do consider themselves in recovery this time. And we do have speakers that decided to give up alcohol for health reasons, that, never had this rock bottom. So it's a very broad spectrum. And I encourage people when they're listening, if you don't resonate with someone's story, that's okay, right? Because it is a very broad spectrum. What I want people to understand is that the content that these speakers are talking about is powerful content. I just got goosebumps. I get goosebumps when I listen to them. Like
Yes.
when I interview these speakers, I walk away and my husband's like, how was it? And I'm like, it was so good. Like, I can't wait for people to listen to this content because it is so powerful. And I got feedback from people last time. So I'm incorporating some things like faith and sobriety. We have Amy Edwards talking about faith and sobriety. That was a request from a few of the attendees from April. So again, I'm hoping this will evolve every time we do it. And my hope is to do it twice a year and continue to let people explore new people in this space, right? A lot of this is in April. The guests that were on in April are the people that helped me in my journey. These were the authors, the podcasters, and the influencers that helped me in my, first 100 days and beyond. This time around, the doors have opened up and I'm like, there's so many incredible people in this space like yourself. I mean, come join us in April so we can have you.
I look forward to it.
There's so many amazing people in this space that have an inspiring and motivational story to tell and have expertise in, content that can really help people in their journey, and know that this isn't something that you're depriving yourself of, but that this is enhancing your life and it just keeps getting better and better. And you do need that messaging in your head that, reading these books and listening to these podcasts and attending a summit, for example, to kind of keep that messaging going so you can stay motivated to keep on your journey and experience this new life without alcohol.
Yeah, you have such a passion for it. And that's the way that I feel. It's amazing, Maggie. And I mean, it lights me up to think about what is possible on the other side. You mentioned that we feel limited when we're drinking. And I always think of it as like playing small. And when we remove alcohol, we create space. And in that space, anything is possible. And so for you, it looked like giving back, and in a big way that's having a huge impact. And for someone else, it might be simply sharing their story with one other person. For someone else, it might be like showing up as a better mom or a better employee. For someone else, it might be understanding that their depression was really driven more by the impact of alcohol and the negative cycle than their lifelong struggles. And so there is so many beautiful ways to connect the dots. But the first thing that we get to do is we get to make alcohol really small. And then we get to take a step back and ask, what do I want to do now? And what is possible now? And this idea of just influencing others for good. And what you shared right there that I think is powerful is that you were able to ask a lot of big, what I'll call heavy hitters in the industry, and what is so fascinating and beautiful about that is they too want to give back. I think all of us in this sober space, and I use the word sober, and you use the word sober, so I'm going to call it that, but you can call it an alcohol-free space. You can call it spirit-free. You can call it sober curious. There is no wrong way to embark on this journey or make it, your own journey. But we are in this space where it seems small. I call it the sober bubble. like you and I running into the same people. And you mentioned a couple of people going to be on your summit. So Victoria English has been on my podcast. I work part-time with her in her program where she's the top coach. And there's just so many overlaps. And of course, Peggy Cooney lives in my town. We had lunch, a few months back. And so it really is this small space. And part of what you're doing with this summit is you're creating this global impact, but we also feel like, come join us. This is an invitation to be part of the in crowd. And don't we all want to be included? And so it's just sort of a magical way to help people feel, connected and involved. And it's just very, very delightful. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And you know what, listen, part of this is let's destigmatize the word sober. Mm-hmm. I was so nervous about using the word sober, but listen, the more time that people use it to just identify as an alcohol-free living choice, like it's your choice. I'm just choosing not to have alcohol in my life. That, that can help destigmatize, the word sober. It's got such a bad connotation to it. But I will tell you, part of the Sober Summit, as you mentioned, the community is fantastic. I love meeting these people, being able to interview some of these podcasters and authors. It's helped me and further my journey. I learned from them. I sometimes I'm like, was that a personal session just between me and that? Because it just feels like, gosh, I got so much out of that. And that's why I get so excited to share it with everyone. But it's also, I want it to be a space, not just for the heavy hitters to come on and share their content, but for people who want to break into this space and share their message. I have an incredible example of that. I had an individual, Austin Carr, who attended the summit in April. He messaged me and he says, I think I'm ready to start telling my story. He's 8 years sober and he's just now sharing his story. And I started following him on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm going, he's so good. He's got such a powerful message to share. So I interviewed him for the Sober Summit. He's got an incredible topic on how to get out of your own way by living in today. He really focuses on the present moment and being more present every day. And that's honestly, when I speak to him, I'm like, that's what gets you off that hamster wheel of like not living in the past, not living in the future, really living in today and feeling present and aware. That's what makes you feel like you're alive. So, I want the Sober Summit to not just be a space for the big authors and podcasters, but also people who are just getting into this space to share their stories. I think listening to other people's stories can be so powerful in and of itself. And everybody has this unique message to share. And I want this to be a platform for those people as well.
I appreciate that because we all start somewhere and, we all go through the same exact journey. And so much of the mindset shift and the uncomfortableness is similar. And so it's so beautiful to have us be able to relate to the Annie Graces of the world, who has been, one of my mentors, as well as Austin Carr and, people who are just, your average, your neighbor, the person that you see down the street. And you're right. It is a way to destigmatize this journey and this beautiful place that we get to arrive at. And I just felt like sober was a powerful word to reclaim for good. And so I have not shied away from it. My business is The Sober Nutritionist. My podcast is The Sober Edge. And I have my self-experience, which stands for Sober Edge, Live Free. And so it really, to me, is beautiful. And I remember when I first heard that Brene Brown called sobriety her superpower, and I was like, I think she got that from me. I've been saying that for years.
I love that.
Yeah. So like you said, you feel like you go into these interviews with people and we're gleaning so much. We're like a sponge, and so there's so much great messaging out there and so much great content. And to be able to find it all in one place is just brilliant I just heard this at the weekend you and I were at together. I heard this phrase and I've never heard it before, but now I'm saying it all the time. So I'm going to try to give credit to whoever said it. I don't know who that person is, but maybe you do. But whether you're sober serious or sober curious, there is a place for you in the summit because these are going to be people that you can relate to no matter where you are in your journey. And they're going to be people that you can learn from and feel inspired by. And that I think is just, there's nothing like it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great, like I said, it's a fantastic community to be in. I've never been in a community of people who just want to help other people so much and lift everybody up. I mean, we have a Facebook group as part of the Sober Summit, and people are cheering each other on, going, it's okay. And I've been there, and let me help you. And you're doing great. And it's such a feel good community. And, you talked about going and doing something with sobriety, but you don't have to do something big either. Mm-hmm. I think part of it too is like, how can you be the best version of yourself so that you can be a lighthouse for the people around you? And that was my main purpose to begin with. It was like, how can I be a better parent? How can I be a better wife? How can I be a better friend? How can I be a better, employee? Not coming into work feeling like crap. So I feel like you can do so much in this, in just the space around you and have such an incredible impact. And once you do, you'll see that just opens up more and more and more until you feel like, okay, I'm ready to do something on a larger scale. But it doesn't have to start big. It doesn't have to start with that marathon or climbing Mount Everest, right? It can be whatever that next thing for you that pushes you outside your limits, where it's just uncomfortable enough that you go, wow, I did that because I no longer have alcohol in my life. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I had alcohol in my life. And that's what it forces you to do. It's this self-development journey that keeps on going. And the earlier you remove alcohol, it's like, oh gosh, now I've got hopefully 40 plus years left to really enjoy and really live life where I don't feel like I'm doing that Groundhog Day every day, where I can truly be present and be excited about living. So it's really, a personal journey that starts with just, your small circle of friends. And you don't even have to go out and share that you're alcohol free. People will just pick up on, oh, what are you doing? Your skin looks fantastic. You look so, it just, you have this vibe about you that, allows people in and around your space to just inquire about what you're doing. And that's when you can start sharing your story too. So it doesn't have to be putting on a summit or I just, I want people to know it can be something small and you can still have a huge impact.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I see it every day in the lives of my clients and my community. And you are so right that we are all sharing from the gifts that we have. And those gifts are multiplied when we are alcohol free. And, as far as what opens up for us on the other side, I mean, I think that has been one of the biggest gifts for me. In these 8 years, my life looks completely different. And I'm so grateful. And it's led me to people like you who have an open heart and a willingness to share your gifts and give back. And so tell us more about how people can find your community and be a part of the Holiday Summit, Holiday Sober Summit. Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah. So it's the Sober Summit Holiday Edition is what I'm calling it. And then back, we'll plan to do it again in April, go back to normal, the Sober Summit. But yes, you can find it at thesobersummit.com. I'm also on Instagram at the Sober Summit. So people can, join there. The ticket's free. So again, it is a free event. It's 3 days. So you have 8 speakers a day to listen to. So you can kind of pick and choose which speakers and which topics resonate with you the most and listen to those. You have the ability to purchase the All Access Pass, which gives you extended access to all the interviews and a private podcast to listen on the go, which I think can just further your journey, especially into the holidays. And then really fun, the speakers give away some incredible bonuses. So we've got courses and challenges and guides and all sorts of really amazing goodies that come with that All Access Pass. So it's a lot of resources to help us get through. I don't want to say get through. I keep saying that, get through, thrive in the holidays, right? It's something you want to enjoy and be present for and, have the best holiday season yet. So yeah, thesobersummit.com is the best place to start.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I can't wait to attend myself.
Yay. I can't wait to have you there. And the invitation is open. We will see you as a speaker next year for sure.
Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to The Sober Edge. This is a place to have important conversations and a safe place to question everything you thought you knew about drinking. If you're looking for your sober edge, I invite you to connect with me at thesobernutritionist.com, where you can grab my free resource, 5 Healthy Reasons to Take a Break. And I would be grateful if you would take a moment to rate and review this podcast so together we can reach more people who are looking for their sober edge.